Okay, so just want to do a real quick video. I'm gonna try and make this probably less than 15 minutes. Because last time I tried to make a recording about this, I was 30 minutes long. Uh, the the Druid for 1D&D playtest is terrible. Now I don't have any intentions on playing the 1D&D playtest or anything like that, but they want feedback, and they seem D&D Beyond at least seems like they're genuinely trying to listen to feedback. So here's my feedback: scrap everything you're trying to fucking do with Druid. I'm gonna get right to it. Druidic is a class feature. It's not just a language you know, because the only way to get it is to have a level in Druid, and so it's a class feature. The new wild shape, mean when you do it, you rather than getting all of this that you used to get, you cannot wear any equipment, despite the fact that back here it says you can use it if you can have it worn by you. Assuming that it can actually fit the creature's size. Here, you can't do that at all. The equipment either falls to the ground or merges into your form. You don't get any equipment at all. Additionally, you retain your personality, memories, and your ability to speak. This one's okay, but it's not as great as you might think. And you keep the ability to wild shape. However, you lose access to all your other features, such as the ability to cast spells, so you can continue to concentrate on them. This is why you lose your your ability to speak Druidic, because you have to have this feature to know Druidic. If you don't have this feature, you cannot speak Druidic. So when you're wild shaped, you can no longer communicate to other Druids in Druidic. Full stop. You lose your spellcasting, you lose Nature's Aid, you lose all your feats that the class would have granted you. And the only things you keep are things like Aquatic Form, Might of the Land, and your Tiny Critter. We'll get to Tiny Critter here, because Tiny Critter, you can turn into a tiny sized creature, but it only lasts for 10 minutes, full stop. And any damage you deal is halved. It's fucking awful. You also lose your Epic Boon, which they're trying to tout as like, oh, there's new big blah, 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 whatever. You fucking lose it, which means it's useless. Now, getting down here into Circle of the Moon, since this is the thing that's trying to be the wild shape empowering form or whatever, you keep the ability to cast prepared duration spells, which is okay, I suppose. Bonus action unarmed strike, which is, I guess, decent. And then you get to wild shape as a bonus action, but we'll cover why that's fucking meaningless here in a moment. You get elemental wild shape, which just means you pick one of these elements and you gain resistance, and your attacks deal that type of damage. You get elemental strike, which lets you deal 1d6 and then 2d6 extra damage at 17th level. Then you get 1,000 forms, which allows you to always have Alter Self prepared and cast it without expending a spell slot. However, Alter Self, if we pull that up real quick, is not an abjuration spell, which means when you transform into a wild shape, you lose the 1,000 forms feature, because Alter Self is a transmutation spell, not abjuration. So you lose your keystone ability the moment you wild shape, which just means this is fucking useless. A lot of the abjuration spells that you might use are okay, but they're not that great. Quick attack is about the only thing that's really useful here. In Swift Transformation, the reason that's useless is because right here at 13th level, you get alternating forms, which allows you as a bonus action to switch in and out of your wild shape for a minute, or it allows you to switch out as a bonus action, and then within the next minute, switch back in without expending a use of wild shape, which just means that the only thing this thing is doing is allowing your initial wild shape to be a bonus action or a magic action, whatever the fuck that is. I don't care, because I'm not planning on doing anything in 1D&D specifically. But the thing that really, really makes this subclass just fucking awful is the different animals. Rather than having an actual form of a beast that you take and then you take on its characteristics and properties, fuck all that. You have a standardized template. Now, by raw, if you were to have 12 dexterity, studded leather armor, and a shield, you have an AC of 15. With Animal of the Land, if you have a wisdom of 20, you have an AC of 15. However, if your wisdom is any lower than 19, which it more than likely is at the start of the game, you are actively lowering your AC by at least one or more. Um, Assuming we take the shield out of the equation and it's just 13, that means you need to have at least a 16 wisdom just to equal your AC outside of it, and you need an 18 wisdom in order to make it higher. Which uh, I've ran a lot of druids. It's not common that I have an 18 wisdom right out the gate. More often than not, it's either 16 or 17 or lower. Additionally, rather than getting the creature's hit points and hit die, you keep your own, which means no more using it to try and buffer to buy your other healers some time to actually heal you or anything like that. Your speed is just 40, and you only get climb speed at 5th level for some reason. You used to just be able to get it if you could turn into a creature with it. And you get keen senses, which is okay, I suppose. Your strength and dex are equal to your wisdom scores, and you use your scores for all others. And then you deal 1d8 plus your wisdom score for damage, which is a maximum, assuming you have a 20 wisdom, of 12. And then at 5th level, it's a maximum of 24, which I guess is okay for 5th level, but I mean, the higher level you go, the less and less meaningful this is, and the more easily people are going to hit you because your AC has been lowered. Animal of the Sea doesn't fare much better. You get 20 feet on land, 40 in the water. Only your dex gets your wisdom score. Otherwise, all your other ones are just whatever you have them. You get dark vision out to 90 feet, and you can breathe underwater. But your damage is now 1d6, which means the maximum you can deal is 22 damage. And then you have Animal of the Sky, which is by far the worst form of it all. And the fact that you can be small, medium, or large really doesn't fucking matter. Your AC is 8 plus your wisdom, which means at most you can have 13 AC as an Animal of the Sky. Your movement speed on land is 20, fly of 40. Again, only dex gets your wisdom score. You have dark vision to 120 feet. And you get flyby and keen senses. Now, this is not that great because you only deal 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier, which means at most you're dealing 19 or 18 points of damage. At most. This, by the time you get access to Animal of the Skies, is fucking god awful. On top of the fact that you can no longer cast any spells despite the fact that you can speak, and you can only have a maximum AC of 13 without other spells and enhancements, because again, you can't wear armor in these forms. You are going to be getting hit left, right, and center, and you're going to drop your concentration on spells. I guarantee it. Dice don't like players. Believe me. And as a D&D player, I'm sure you know the suffering of trying to. Additionally, if you're thinking that Warcaster will help you out, remember, while you're wild shape, you lose access to all your other features. Which means you don't gain Warcaster, and any feats that Druid gave you lose. It is awful. Just plain awful. And the fact that this, I don't know who designed the Druid like this, but please take this back to the drawing board and get rid of it. Scrap everything in this design because you're left with either wild shape and try to make some use of this new form, or just don't wild shape and have access to all of your spells and all of your feats and all of your other features. It's just bad. It's just plain bad. So, I mean, at 15th level, as part of the wild shape, you can use your healing blossoms, I guess. But that's only when you actually do the wild shape, or when you use your wild shape. So Your 13th level ability, Alternating Forms, won't apply here. Additionally, at 17th level, then you can cast spells in any wild shape form. But you can't use it if it takes a material component, which I don't need to tell you, a lot of the higher end spells, especially for Druid, require material components. And a lot of them consume those material components. It's just so bad. And then the Archdruid, rather than just having an unlimited number of wild shapes and being able to just wild shape, you only get them back when you roll initiative instead. And you age more slowly, which I suppose is good for flavor purposes, but putting it on the capstone ability, putting it on the 18th level ability is not that useful anymore. So I don't know. I feel like maybe it would be more useful or more informative if it applied retroactively. So that way, if you're I don't know, if you're 30, you'll lose like 3 years on your life because that's what it kind of encompasses. And or you regain 3 years on your body, I guess is the correct way to say that. But yeah, overall, this is just the new wild shape is awful. Losing all of your other features rips so much away from the Druid and guts it so incredibly hard that there's no reason to wild shape. Don't wild shape. You will only hurt yourself and your party. I am the DM. Thank you for coming in my corner. See you next time.